Jackson here. Today's relaxed selection is Stairway to Heaven, and I don't think I could have put this site together without trying to include this song. It's often considered one of the greatest rock songs of all time. Co-written by Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, was released in 1971 on Led Zeppelin 4. And if you saw the tribute to this song at the Kennedy Center Awards, sung by Ann Wilson of Heart, what an amazing version with a gospel choir behind it. It brought Robert Plant to tears. I'm going to give you all the essentials of this song today. You know, and if you pop into any guitar store in the world, you're likely to find somebody picking up a guitar and playing Stairway to Heaven. Here's Led Zeppelin. All right, well, in a moment we'll talk about the finger-picking style that I'm going to recommend for this song. It may not be what you choose to do, but I'll give you some variations and some possibilities and show you what I'm going to teach. But first things first, let's deal with the fairly significant number of chords you need to work with for Stairway to Heaven. Some of them are different voicings of the same chord in a different position. The first two chords I'm going to have you bar the 5th fret, at the 5th fret, strings 1, 2, and 3. And then your third finger is going to go to the 7th fret of the 4th string. So the first chord is an A minor. Then I'm going to keep that same, as I said, first two chords, I'm going to keep that same bar right there. And this time my second finger goes to the 6th fret of the 4th string, and my pinky goes to the 7th fret of the 1st string. And that's called an A minor major 9. And I'm going to give you some chord names if I know them. Not that they're terribly important for you to know the names of some of these unusual chords, but I may as well tell you if I know. A minor, major 9. Then, for the third chord, I'm just going to slide that bar up and include one more string. So this time I'm barring strings 1 to 4 at the 5th fret. My pinky goes to the 8th fret of the 1st string, and I have an A minor 7. Then I have an open D, just a regular open D chord. And then an F major 7. Now I play it this way. You can just play there, and there on the 2nd, 1st fret, 2nd string, 2nd fret, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 4th string. I tend to add the 3rd fret of the 5th string into it, and that's just where my hand goes for that chord. You probably won't play that 5th string, so you can play it this way or this way. F major 7. You need an open G chord. You need a regular F chord, just an F major chord. You need an A minor in this position, the open position. And you need a different A minor 7, and this one is played by taking that A minor and lifting the 3rd finger off an A minor and then adding your pinky to the G note, the 3rd fret of the 1st string. An A minor 7. And then we've got this little quick chord, and the best I could find for a name for this was G over E. And it is one note you're fingering here. All you're doing is fingering the D note, the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And then you're going to slide up here, and this is a different D major fingering up here. Sounds like the first chord in the Eagles' Bitter Creek. I remember that song. Okay, and that's just that open D string, and then you're just playing a D chord formation, but you're sliding it up to the 7th fret. And then we have this version of D, an alternate D chord again. This time my first finger is on the 5th fret of the 1st string, and my 2nd and 3rd fingers are on the 7th fret of the 3rd and 2nd strings. I also strum through the open D on this. When I slide it down 2 frets, it becomes a C over D. Also with the D chord, I've got some D susses. The D sus 2 and the D sus 4 from previous lessons. You should know that the D sus 2 is just pulling off the 2nd finger off a D chord. And the D sus 4 is either adding the pinky to the G note of the high string or flattening out your 3rd finger. I tend to flatten it out for that one. Then we have a sort of a modified C9 chord here, and we're going to play it like this. Okay, and what I'm doing there is my second finger's on the C note of the 5th string, the 3rd fret, and it's sort of muting the 4th string. My third finger's on the D note of the B string, and then with this chord I do this little mod. I take that finger on and off the F sharp note, like so, and then I'm going to actually grab the B note with my first finger and still use that second finger on and off the F sharp. The only difference between those two chords, this one and this one, is I take the C note and move it down to a B right there. And both times I have that little F sharp on and off on the first string. But that's a lot of chords. I realize that. Go over them a couple times before we start into the intro to the song and the finger picking style. All right, the finger picking style I'm going to use for Stairway to Heaven involves my thumb and forefinger. Technically, if I were being a perfect finger picker, I would be using my thumb and then all 3 different fingers here. I'm not good that way, and I admit that wholeheartedly. If you are, take everything that I'm showing you in terms of when to play what strings and just convert it over to this style with different fingers. But I'm going to use a thumb and forefinger here. So for that first chord, the A minor chord we talked about, I'm picking 4 and 1 together, 4 with my thumb, up on 1 with my forefinger. Then I drag the thumb across 3rd and 2nd strings and pick up with my forefinger on the 1st string. Okay, for the second chord, which is the A minor major 9, I pick 4 and 1 together again, thumb and forefinger, up on 2, down with the thumb on 3, up on 1. 4 and 1 together, up on 2, down on 3, up on 1. Down with the thumb, up with the forefinger. And then I'm going to switch to that. And he actually only plays that. So I'm going to pick 1 and 4 again, and then just up on 2 and 3 for this A minor 7 chord. Next is down to the open D chord. Again, down on 4, up on 1, up on 2, down on 3 with the thumb, up on 1. And the final chord in the sequence is the F major 7 chord, and it's like this. Again, I'm just using my thumb and forefinger to pick through those. And to finish it off, and I there just used the back of my forefinger as a pick and go to a nice open strum. I wanted a little bit chimier there, so I just do a, and that's an open G and an A minor. So the whole sequence, nice and slowly. So after playing through that once, then we have the little transition into repeating it, which is, and that's just a little slide up on the A string, open A with your thumb, slide up to 8, and then same finger, 3rd finger, down to 7, and that puts you in perfect position to repeat the entire first chord sequence that we just learned. Then we drop down to the bottom of the neck, and this time the chord sequence is as follows. Again, thumb, forefinger, C, D, the F major, and then kind of a hammer down on an A minor chord. Now I'm picking down with my thumb on the A note and then hammering up to the C note on the B string, and then just kind of up on the third string after that. So that's a C, a G, and then that, again I'm using the back of my forefinger here, and the D sus4 to a D. Then the whole thing repeats and the end changes. Difference there is the second time through, instead of the D sus4 D, I do 3 strums on the F major 7. And now we're ready for the vocal. But let's do a playthrough of the entire intro. Now you'll notice, and I have a habit of doing this, I want to go, instead of to that open G chord, I find it more comfortable to go to this G because for one thing, the picking pattern is easier. It's not actually like that in the song, but it's nice to go to, and then you can either do that, or if you're here, you can kind of pick through that when you go to that D sus4 D. So your choice on the G's, which G you use in that progression. I tend to gravitate to this one. Okay, now we want to get into the arrangement of the song, and I'm going to have to move along quickly here. I will not get this song lesson in, because there's a lot to this song. We're going to go through that opening, everything we've played up till now, we're going to add lyrics to. When we're done with that one section of lyrics, we're going to go back and start over again with this, and get back into one more of those, and then we'll finish up with one more little sequence up here, and then we finally get into that section. Okay, here comes the playthrough with vocals.
There's a lady who's shown all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. Ooh, when she's buying a stairway to heaven, there's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have two meanings. In a tree by a brook, there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven.
That's the first bit. So we've got an A minor 7, the one we learned in the chord section. We drop the G note off that just to give us a different A minor 7, the A minor 7 without the high G. And then that one quick strum on that chord we called a G variation. It's just that one note chord with our finger on the D note. And then a regular D. And then repeat. And this time we go up to this D chord. And we want to play this with from 4 down. We want to make sure we strum the 4th string. And then this. So it's this, and then this D, and then back to this again. So let's play through that whole sequence the way it would be in the song, with vocals.
Makes me wonder. It makes me wonder.
All right, I've very little time to show you what's left. And first is that little instrumental section going into the guitar solo. Okay, so what we're doing there is playing around with D sus2 and D sus4. And the main thing is the strumming. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da is how that's played. Then we get into that C add 9. With that F sharp added and taken away. Back to this. Back to the C add 9 again. To a B note. Now we're into the guitar solo. Alright, I just want to talk to you about the climax section of the song at the end. We're going to call this fine tuning today, even though it is a regular part of the song. And it's a very special, funky kind of strumming pattern here. You can see we're moving from an A minor bar chord to a G bar chord to an F major bar chord. Those weren't included in the intro because you could play it like this. Just using an A minor here, a G, and an F there. However you choose to do it, the strumming is really what's important here. So we got lots of frapping in there, and that's what builds the climax of the song. And of course, Robert Plant's intensely high vocal. It all settles back down in the end to a nice peaceful finish. I think I've given you almost everything you need for an acoustic version of Stairway to Heaven. Just put the pieces together and have fun with it. We'll see you next time on Song Mentor.